Hiya! I'm back from Mythic Plus testing. We did a couple of Everblooms because that's the dungeon we haven't tested. It's the first time Everbloom's been in rotation. And good God, man. Some good, some bad, some ugly. And I have logs to show you, as well as a VOD and stuff, and talents and things. Stuff to chat about. So, first of all, we saw Sudden Demise get buffed. This was with a typical build, so the build that I used for this one was just a standard Kingsbane, bleed heavy, right? But I took Iron Wire, I took Caustic Spatter, I had Dragon Tempered Blades, 2 points in Poison Bomb, etc., etc. The Poison Bomb itself was less than impressive. Poison Bomb not really doing that much. But I did go heavy into bleeds, right? So this is sort of to be expected. Caustic Spatter was doing okay. Exsanguinate was doing okay. This was looking really balanced. My boss damage was also really good. Just for comparison, this is overall. I was keeping up with Sumer. Shout out to Sumer as a Warlock Theory crafter. So if you see him, say hi, you know. So I was keeping up for the most part, and then once we got to bosses, my boss damage was looking pretty good. Especially the burst windows, right? Like if we look at the first 30 seconds or so of this one, yoink, doing good burst, and then eventually, you know, I'd fall behind a little bit. But the single target's not bad. And then if we look at the trash damage, also kind of not bad, right? It's keeping up, it's doing okay. Might be a little bit undertuned, but it is what it is. I also was playing with Jack, Automatic Jack, good guy. But it was fine, right? This is fine. This is standard stuff. We expect this. And that was the end of the normal stuff. Because right after that, the music's getting really loud. Please stop. Holy, holy. Please, please, please. We're doing it live. Okay. Yeah, so first thing on Everbloom. If we go here, and we go back to our god-awful key, this boss is overtuned to hell. So you can see us pulling this boss, and right off the start, all of our health disappears. This Cinderbolt Storm hits so goddamn hard on a 20. And it only gets worse from there, because the mechanics that they reworked on this is insane. Absolutely insane. So, these orbs, they'll freeze you, those ice orbs. But on top of that, if we skip a little bit ahead, there's, yeah, so there's ice orbs, but there's also this little orb that came flying in, right? Give it a second. She'll spawn a clone right here. You see that clone? And then it'll throw this magic orb. It'll pull you towards that orb, so yoink! It's rough. It's so rough. And yeah, I mean, we finished it, we got it done. But it's really rough. But after that is when all hell broke loose. You'll see here I did a lot more damage in the next 20. In this one I did 95, and in this one I did 115. We sacrificed everything, like a demon hunter, and we just cranked bleed damage. So the build I was using for this one was this. So we dropped Iron Wire, we dropped Kingsbane, we went 3 capstones, all for bleeds. Bleeds here, bleeds here, bleeds here, bleeds, 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 internal bleeding. And we just stacked every bleed mechanic that we possibly could. And the result of that was some janky stuff. So the first thing to note is my poison damage is not here. There is nothing here. I have no poison bomb, so I just... Envenom wasn't doing anything. Deadly Poison did some damage, but it would do that damage anyways. And then this is all bleeds. My top 5 damage sources are all bleeds, and then internal bleeding rounding out the top 7. 6 out of my top 7 is just bleeds. And holy, you might be able to tell, Sudden Demise actually doing damage now. Now, this is really cheesy. Super cheesy. And I don't think that this is entirely viable. The damage is good in AoE, but if we just look at the trash damage comparison, I am gapping Sumer. I'm just gapping them. And then we get to bosses. And it's not that great. A lot of these bosses have ads, right? Like Witherbark has ads. You can see that I'm doing about 20% of my damage to ads. Ancient Protectors is a cleave fight, 3 target, so that kind of Y'all knew, and then Archmage here is a single target fight, and you see my damage falls off a cliff. Falls off a cliff completely. This build does not do any single target. This is basically the same as before, where you would drop all your single target, just go full bleed. It does damage. It does damage. And Sudden Demise is quite funny. You'll see that like the highest hit here was to a Twisted Abomination number 3. Did 1.8 million damage. I full unloaded into it, Deathmark, Shiv, all the dots. It cranked. It did a lot of damage. But I think in the grand scheme of things, 9% here for a capstone plus the 5%-ish from the increased bleed damage. This payoff for the loss in single target is quite high. Which is a concern that everyone always has for Assassination's AoE. So, keep that in mind. I don't know how the tuning will end on this. Sudden Demise looks a lot better, but obviously it goes crazy. And because it goes crazy, you know we had to push it to the extremes. Welcome to a +10 Everbloom. So we did a +10, the lowest key you can do on PTR. And I did 190k, because you'll see Sudden Demise is doing 15% of my damage now. It's a lot of damage. And you'll see here, I'm gonna skip ahead into our +10 that we did. And so we full committed into this. Yeah. Let's go to the start here. And you'll see, as we go through the start, I use bleeds on stuff, and they'll just pop, right? Pay close attention to their nameplates. Now, be aware, this is a +10, and I'm full building into Sudden Demise, right? But this is the funny thing, all right? This is the funny build, the haha build. So I crank these guys. The Dread Pedal, ready? And pop. These Dread Pedals, I'm gonna Crimson Tempest in a second here, after I get some bleeds out. And pop, 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 pop. That one didn't really pop, but you know. Here I run out of juice. I don't have any ways to use Carnage, because I full committed for the first ones. However, I just get a Crimson Tempest out right here, and you'll see, ready, and pop, 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 and this one's popping, and then this one, pop. I mean, you get the idea. Sudden Demise is cranking in this situation. I don't really know if this is an issue. It's your bleeds are still less efficient than normal, right? The bleeds that you're putting up on the target and then getting consumed by Sudden Demise is still lost damage. It's just the damage is done instantly, right? You're doing it at a reduced efficiency instantly, versus letting the dots tick for a while. The same thing happens here. We pull everything. This is a bit of a messy pull because of the stun. But you'll see once I get the Crimson Tempest up and things start getting below 35%, they're going to start popping pretty soon. So that guy right there, 25%, and pop. And pop. Like, it's pretty good. It's a lot of fun as well. But the balancing here is... it's weird. You don't want it to be just absolutely crushing. But Sudden Demise should be doing damage, especially in these low keys, where your bleeds are often going to be wasted on small pulls, right? I also tried Sudden Demise during raid testing, and it wasn't great. This is post-buff as well. And you probably wouldn't take it simply for the single target loss. So there's a very specific niche where Sudden Demise is really, really good. That niche being really high, like, pull count, low-level dungeons. Everbloom is perfect for this. It's got so many large pulls, and all of the bosses have adds. You'll see here, this is an increased damage phase on the boss. The boss is taking 100% increased damage during this intermission. And he's going to spawn some adds. And I popped those adds too. The Ancient Protectors, the second boss, that's a 3-target fight. Yalnu, the last boss, has some adds. It's a big pull dungeon. So I think it's okay for Sudden Demise to have a niche in this sort of content where you can prevent the loss, right? You can think of Sudden Demise in this case, even though it did 25% of my damage, basically. It's not actually Sudden Demise doing that damage, it's all of my bleeds doing the damage and just getting eaten by Sudden Demise to do the damage instantly. Which is a little bit different. Because it's damage you would have already had without Sudden Demise, right? It's not like I'm gaining extra damage, so to speak, I'm just not losing the damage. Which is a weird thing to think about, but it makes for a really interesting sort of playstyle when you can do this. I do think that bleeds right now are probably a little bit cracked. But it might just be this dungeon as well, where you just have gigapulls and so bleeds look really good. I don't think this is reasonable for any key, right? Let me get that out as well. I don't think this is reasonable at all. Yeah, I see pulling everything between me and Egypt is a thing. So, the problem with IC, I think I can show it better in an earlier key. Is this with Jack? No, this is not with Jack. I killed Jack many times from this dumb little thing. Yeah, this is probably a good example. So, Carnage got changed to smart target. But the smart targeting means that it hits things that are a million miles away and not in combat. So, let me see at the start of this pull. Maybe. So here you'll see me rupture, and this is probably a fine pull, right? Maybe? Trying to see. Okay, this one was fine. That one one-shot me. That's just a straight one-shot. Trying to find a good pull to show it. No, this was after we decided to pull small, so it's got to be earlier than this. This pull. Right? No, not this pull either. Ain't no way. Ah, here, found it. So here, watch my rupture. So I'm gonna garrote here, and I'm gonna rupture right here. I ruptured this Pyromancer. And the rupture jumped to this Arcanomancer. Like, this is 30 yards away. So, this fucking blows. Like, this sucks. Hopefully they fix that, and they add, like, a tag to it needs to be in combat in order for it to cleave. Because, I mean, it hit this assistant over here as well, right? Like, these two red frames. I ruptured this target and it hit two targets all the way over here. That's not okay. That's not okay. So that needs some looking at, but everything else kind of fine. So yeah, fun times. Sudden Demise looking kind of saucy, but only if you play into it. Probably not worth it. You'd probably realistically, if you'd want to play something bleed based like this, you would probably play this, drop this, go here, and then like, oh god, can I? Okay, well, let me build it from scratch real quick. So you'd probably do like something like this, and then go here, 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 here. And then, I don't know. What would you drop? This, and then go here? You'd probably do something like this, realistically. Because you always want to have Iron Wire, and this is just required single target, basically, even though Poison Bomb isn't that great. But this would be pretty much good enough for Sudden Demise. This would be a bleed-based build. So, you can do something like this in Mythic Plus. This is more of a hybrid approach. And this would work great. So, you know, have fun with it. And that's all I have to say. Mythic Plus, looking really fun. I had a great time. I had a great time testing with all the peeps, all the homies. That makes me sound 80 years old. Anyways, bye-bye. Bye-bye. Have a good time.